What's up, guys? This is Jag again with the JB podcast. So, as many of us know already, the Boston Celtics got the first pick in the draft because of that terrible trade in 2014, or in the summer of 2013, I guess, after the season. They traded away Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, who were about 80 years old at the time, to the Nets. Because the Nets thought they could build a super team to finally beat the Heat. They got beaten 5 games, and Boston was left with a ton of picks. Now they're reaping the benefits from those picks. Got Jaylen Brown last year. The Nets were the worst team in the league this year, so they had the best chance to get the number one. It's like the fifth time that the team with the best chance to get the number one pick has actually gotten the number one pick. So they finally get it, but it goes to Boston. And the big question is, who is Boston going to take at number one? Well, I have a few ideas on that. Really, there's only two real options, I guess, in Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball. But I'll get into that later. So here's a few strategies that the Boston Celtics can use with their number one pick that they just got. Let's get into the video. So basically, the first strategy is it's kind of giving the shaft to Isiah Thomas. It's really giving him the shaft because he's been underpaid basically his whole career. He played good in Sacramento. They're like, screw it, we don't want to pay that money. So they basically just gave him away for nothing, a $7 million trade exception, and some no-name player to the Suns. The Suns tried out three good level guards in Eric Bledsoe, Goran Dragic, and Isiah Thomas. That, we all know what dumpster fire that was. And then they tried to get freaking Brandon Knight as well. So they had 4 point guards, capable point guards basically, that should not have been together. So Isiah Thomas gets traded to the Celtics. He's only making $6 million a year. He's a bargain. He was an MVP candidate this year. Third in scoring this year. So, but the Celtics, what they could do is take Markelle Fultz, because I think he's the better player, so I'm going to reference Markelle Fultz more as the number one. But if you guys think it's Lonzo or Darren Fox or something, they all play the same position, you know. So, if you think that they have the potential to be elite in whoever, I'm going to say Markelle because I think he has potential to be a star. So they could take Markelle Fultz and then say, oh, sorry, we don't want to pay Isiah Thomas this $200 million when his contract ends next year. So they'll just keep Markelle with his rookie deal and let Isiah Thomas walk. And he'll probably make a lot of money somewhere else, but he can't get the $200 million because he won't, whatever team he goes to won't have their full bird rights. This strategy is only based on the fact that Isiah Thomas is already 28 years old. He's undersized. We've seen in this playoffs, he's not really capable defensively, all because of his size. When a team has time to game plan all around you, it's really hard to score, especially if you're at his size. I mean, Allen Iverson did it his whole career, okay? But Allen Iverson, honestly, was taller than Isiah Thomas and faster. He didn't quite have the shooting touch that IT has, but doesn't really matter because IT, his last game of the season, he was 0 for 6 in 17 minutes, then was injured for the rest, you know. So it's really hard to game plan, and it's really hard to have Isiah Thomas be your best player. So they might just say, screw it, we'll keep Jaylen Brown, we'll keep Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, all of them, and build around Markelle Fultz, which they basically be saying, we're going to wait till LeBron retires, and we're going to try to run the East after he's done, which is a decent plan because they also have Brooklyn's pick next year, which is basically guaranteed top 5 as well, because that's how bad Brooklyn is. The only problem with that is Philadelphia and Milwaukee look like they have very bright futures. So if they do go with that, it is a win now league, okay? In sports in general, it's all about now. People don't like the rebuilding phase, but Danny Ainge has gained that trust. I don't think his job is going to be on the hot seat if he doesn't re-sign Isiah Thomas. So that's one strategy. The next strategy is kind of interesting, but it's really contingent on Gordon Hayward, okay? So what they basically could do, because I don't think a big three is enough to beat Cleveland, but a big four has a slim chance in the East. Okay, and I'm not talking the Warriors big four. I'm talking a big four that centers around Al Horford, if you can even consider him in that. Avery Bradley is really good too, but if Gordon Hayward decides to go to Boston, which I don't want to see because, you know, he's a Jazz guy. I'm a Jazz fan. I don't want to see him leave, but if he does go and sees that that's his best chance for playoff success, then with the pick, they know it's number one. So they have nothing riding on it. Then they can go for a Jimmy Butler, a Paul George, or a DeMarcus Cousins, even though he just got traded. All of their contracts are ending soon. Jimmy Butler next season, Paul George this upcoming season. Yeah, sorry, Jimmy Butler in 2 years, Paul George after next year, and DeMarcus Cousins after next year as well. So they could do that and try to get a big four, but that's only if Gordon Hayward can commit, in my opinion. If they do that, I don't see them. If Gordon Hayward says screw it, I'm staying in Utah because he can still get that supermax if he makes All NBA next year. So can Paul George. So it's kind of, will the Pacers give him up? And I don't see the Jazz giving up on Gordon if he decides to stay. And I do not like if they don't get Gordon, I don't like their chances on going all in on a Jimmy Butler or a Paul George or a DeMarcus and having a chance at beating the Cavs. I really don't. So that's one option, all contingent on free agency and Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge's pitch, really, to Gordon. The next strategy is really the most fun because it's only been done a few times and only one real significant time that I can think of. It's in the documentary on Shaq and Penny and the new Magic franchise. So what they basically did was they wanted Penny Hardaway sorry. They wanted Penny Hardaway to be paired with Shaq because Shaq just went number one overall the year before. They didn't want to crowd it all up with two big men. I mean, Robinson Duncan situation, I guess, but Robinson and Duncan could both stretch it out a little bit more. So they wanted Penny really bad, but Chris Webber was the most coveted player in that draft, and he was probably the best as well, as he should be in the Hall of Fame, And Penny might have been too if he didn't get injured so often. So they basically took Webber, and then at number 3, Penny went to the Warriors, and they basically said, we'll give you Webber, pretending that he was the best player. We'll trade down for Penny, but we want draft picks as well. So the Warriors basically gave them 3 or 4 first round picks for the upcoming years, and Penny Hardaway for Chris Webber. Brilliant plan. And they ask in the documentary, they're like, how'd you get those picks as well? And he's like, well, and he got like 3, I think, maybe 4. And he's like, well, I asked for 7. So they were really, really smart in that deal. And that's exactly what the Boston could do, because it looks like LA is going all in on Lonzo Ball. If they picked Lonzo Ball first, everyone knows Lonzo wants to play in LA. Or at least that's what his dad says. Magic really wants him. So why not take Lonzo? And then Markelle Fultz is likely going second, Then you can still get Markelle Fultz, who I think is the best player in that draft, and maybe some other assets from the Lakers. Maybe a future pick, maybe probably D'Angelo Russell even, maybe even D'Lo, Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, Ivaka Zubac, Brandon Ingram. Any combination of them and the pick would be a win for Boston, in my opinion. They could even go for future picks as well, depending on how coveted Lonzo Ball is to Magic Johnson. So that really, I think, is the most interesting thing they could do. Or they might say, hey, what the heck, Lonzo is the best player in this. let's just keep Lonzo as well and go with the first strategy that I laid out about Markelle Fultz. But I think they should really do that. Or if they, so this trading down, they can either do it with Lakers, LA, which I think is the best option, or they could take Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz has already just talked about on Twitter how great he would fit with the Sixers and how he would love to play for them, yada, yada, yada. Why not draft Markelle Fultz? Trade down. Trade down for that third pick that Philly holds and get some assets. Maybe a Dario Saric could go in there. Maybe Jahlil Okafor is bad. Okay, don't get me wrong, but they could most likely get Jahlil Okafor an expiring contract in him. Maybe a Robert Covington, some veterans, along with the third pick, and then Philly gets the number 1 pick in Markelle Fultz. That's a strategy as well. I like the LA one the best, but trading down is an option. Trading down, you already have an Eastern Conference playoff team, okay? And honestly, it's most likely they're gonna have to just rebuild till LeBron is old and retired. But if they do go all in, I see Hayward is the only option to do that. If Hayward signs, then go all in, try to build that big four, or even go for Hayward and Blake Griffin this summer and trade the pick. That's a little interesting right there. Money and contracts they're going to be tough to fit all of that in with Al Horford just barely signing the max. So it's a little hard to fit all of that in, but I'd say Blake Griffin and Gordon Hayward are better than Al Horford anyway. So maybe even move Horford, even though you just signed him for a ton of money, So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of these 3 possible strategies that the Boston Celtics could do? If you're a Celtics fan, what do you want them to do? A lot of people are like, they're not beating Cleveland either way. But if you're a Celtics fan, if you're optimistic, what do you want to see happen with that number 1 pick? Let me know in the comments down below or on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Even email me if you want. And then please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.